Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We're virtual. Sorry about that. We're based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. My phone number works up there. We solve Revelation, and we'd like you to join us every week with solving the philosophy of eschatology. Not what you need to know, your reality, our existence, what's going on in this crazy world. We're Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. World War III seems to be coming. I have 10 voices today. You could call them prophets or pundits, but they're people that will give you 10 different opinions on it. And I'm not sure where the war is coming from. It looks like we're being distracted constantly. We were distracted by something in 2020, something different in 2021, something different in 2022. You see the colorful flag down there. And then 2023, those are probably balloons up there, and they could be party balloons. So yeah, they're not UFOs. But the one thing that is a truth, and you could say maybe this is my 11th prophecy, because this is Matthew 24 coming from Yeshua, you will hear of the rumors of wars, the noise of wars nearby, and the news of war is far off. See to it that you don't become frightened. Such things must happen, but the end is yet to come. For peoples will fight each other, nations will fight each other, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various parts of the world. That's Matthew 24, the Olivet Discourse, and it works. It is the case today. All of those things are occurring right now. And so, but I'd like to share these prophetic pundits with you and see what your opinion is. Please test out their words and see what you think. Get back in touch with me if you agree or disagree. I don't know where a war is going to come from. It could be North and South Korea, it could be China and Taiwan. Israel is fighting with Iran. You know, they just sent over drones. Russia and Ukraine is quite obvious, but Turkey and Greece hate each other too. So keep in mind, when you corner a rat, they strike. And but it's hard to discern who's the rat. So there is at least four fronts, if not five, maybe six or seven right now. So by the way, which video was that? Oh, that was Canadian Prepper. So it was interesting that he pointed that out. And I follow him, but not that closely. He says four fronts. I say five or six fronts. Okay, and keep in mind also February 24th, which is 10 days from now, is the anniversary of the Ukraine war. So Russia is going to gear up, and they're wondering why they aren't able to start nuking people. They're going to increase their soldiers. They're going to increase their tanks and other weaponry. And so they're promising the whole of Ukraine remaining under Kiev's rule will burn. Their nuclear doctrine is probably going to change. They believe that they have the right now. It's justified that they can first strike. So that is a big change. So what are we trying to do here? We are trying to show you the philosophy of the end of days by showing you the Bible, showing you prophecy, 10 different people today, and then news, real news, which is hard to find. The first most important prophecy is Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, which talks about in 2, the various animals. And so you've got the lion with the wings and the bear with the three ribs, and then also the leopard with the wings, and then this beast, whatever it happens to be. And then also you see, oh, I'm sorry, I have it backwards. Daniel 2 is the statue. So Babylon is the head of gold, and Medo-Persia is the breast and arms of silver, and then Greece is we'll call it belly and thighs of brass, and then Rome is that final creature, but Rome has been morphing. I argue as you go forward that you'll see from 70 Common Era to 560, which is a 490-year time frame, you'll see that Rome turned into Justinian I, and then it ended in 560 as he was dying, and so that brought us plagues. And then we have the schism at 1050, then another 490 years later, we have Suleiman the Magnificent really recreating the walls of Jerusalem and setting up for the Messiah, which seems to be 490 years later in 2030, the time for the beast. Now we'll see. We're 7 years away from that right now. I don't know. I'm not making any predictions, but it's been an intriguing theory to watch this occur with the 490 years between each one of those events. So let's get back to Daniel 7, the most accurate prophecy, which is number 1. And I had a vision at night, Daniel did. I saw there before me the four winds of the sky breaking out over the great sea, and four huge animals come up out of the sea, each different than the others. The first was like a lion, but it had eagle's wings. And I'm arguing that sounds a lot like Britain, Great Britain, and then with the eagle's wings would be America coming out. And I watched its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted off the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and a human heart was given to it. There was another animal, and when I say Great Britain, I like to say that, but I mean the British Isles. So basically, then the second one is a bear. It raised itself up on one side and it had 3 ribs. I'm saying those are the 3 gaps, and I'll show you that with Peter Zeihan in just a minute. In its mouth, between its teeth, it was told to get up and gorge yourself with flesh. I'm arguing that's just like Russia today. That's Medo-Persia, but it sounds like Russia, doesn't it? Because Russia has 3 gaps. After this, I looked, and there was another one like a leopard, and it's 4 birds' wings in its sides. And so the leopard, when you see the tanks being dispensed by Germany to Russia to fight against Russia, but to Ukraine, you're seeing that leopard tank show up right now, which is going to change the war focus. Okay, and the 4 bird wings, I'm going to argue that's France involved with Germany. The animal also had 4 heads and was given power to rule. After this, I looked in the night visions, and there before me was a 4th animal, dreadful, horrible, and that's the Antichrist, we could call him. It's also Rome. Iron teeth, yes, and it devoured, crushed, and stamped in its feet what was left. It was different from all the other animals. It had 10 horns, and it'll have 7 crowns. So that's Daniel 7. We're seeing that. Russia has 3 gaps, those 3 ribs, 3 weaknesses it has to chew on, 3 areas that it has to chew on like ribs. And Russia doesn't eat quickly. It's like a bear. It eats slowly. It's a big critter. And so Russia is looking to reclaim enough land for them to reach the geographical strongpoints that were once part of the Soviet Union. Beyond that, Russia is essentially fighting for its existence, so that the only viable option for them is winning at whatever cost. That is a terrifying reality. If the Ukrainians hold Russia off, we'll see a long, drawn-out war over disputed land until Russia makes enough progress to launch another large-scale assault for Ukraine to prevail, and they can't. They're done, guys. They would have to destroy sufficient Russian industrial and logistical capacity within Russia to render another assault impossible. If the Russians get past Ukraine, they won't stop there. That's the 3 ribs concept, and this is Peter Zeihan saying this, not me. Know that facing off with NATO isn't going to end up well, and that's when the nuclear question comes up. So that's Zeihan. And I'm not going to call him a prophet, he's a pundit, but this is prophecy, guys. And it sounds a lot like Daniel, doesn't it? So let's move forward. Now, this is going to be number 3 and 4, Vilna, Gaon, and St. Paisios. I'm not that good at my Greek without seeing it in the Greek. So, but anyway, one of them was from 1720 to 1797. St. Paisios? Yeah, that's probably Paisios. He is more recent. He's, last century. So, and then I'm going to give you the Daniel Martin thing in just a second here, too. He's going to be one of our later guys. But anyway, 1/3 will be destroyed. The second 1/3 will be Christianized, and the last 1/3 will go to whatever that means inside. And so basically, he's predicting a Turkish war with Greece, and that Greece would somehow win, which doesn't make sense. And so we'll go into those specifically. So here's the Greek St. Paisios prediction. Okay, so first of all, Erdogan wants a war with Greece, and so he's staging it. He's got elections coming up in June 2023, and nothing would be more exciting for him than to defeat Greece quickly. But the problem is they're both NATO states, and NATO's not going to allow them to fight each other. So the election is coming up. And so he's thinking maybe he could start a conflict with Syria, Greece, Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or Armenia, so that he could win. It's more about your prestige than about who you defeat. You come back as a military hero and you're reelected, but then you have more power too. You get to coalesce your power. So this is the saint from Greece, and events will start that will culminate with us taking back Constantinople, which had always been Greek, and it will be given to us. There will be war between Russia and Turkey. In the beginning, the Turks will believe they are winning, but this will lead to their destruction. The Russians eventually will win and take over Constantinople. After that, it will be ours. They will be forced to give it to us. The Turks will be destroyed. Basically, I would say Gog will be destroyed. They will be eradicated because they are a nation that was built without God's blessing. 1/3 of the Turks will go back to where they came from, the depths of Turkey. 1/3 will be saved because they will become Christians, and the other 1/3 will be killed in the war. This is just, it's based on the St. Cosmos prophecy. Turkey will be dissected, and the Hagia Sophia will be open again and will be Christian. And so Turkey will be dissected into 3 or 4 parts. So we'll see if he's correct, but this is your interesting prophecy from him. And so now the Vilna Gaon, I have studied this for 10, 12 years. And so this is a very interesting prophecy. It's number 4 of the Messiah. So the Vilna Gaon, once again, 1720 to 1797. And once again, notice this when you see a man living 77 years. That's usually a good man. Predicted that before the arrival of Messiah, Russia will become a superpower. Why is this? And so then basically says, when Russia enters the Crimea, which is Ukraine, this is a sign that Russia has reached its peak, and one should start to soon hear the bells or the shofar sound of the Messiah. He went further to mention that when Russia enters Constantinople, Istanbul, Turkey, that it will be time to put on your Shabbos clothes and go out and greet the Messiah. So that's prophecy number 4, okay? And then number 5 is from Daniel Martin. And so he said that he's had dreams about this, his World War III dreams, that nuclear war is inevitable, predestined, and prophetic. I have premonitionary dreams along with other paranormalities that I didn't ask for, but everything I dream happens. Every time I saw Russia nuked all USA mainland cities. No warning, no declaration of war, no electricity before the explosions. It was at night in my dream. The next dream, Putin told me London too, and the rest of the world retaliates after NATO's gone. Russia ends the war, and if the rest of the world retaliates, Russia will end the war and win. I saw the U.S. military crying, and Russia told will spare their lives, but will remove their ranks, and told them to start a new life in another country because America was uninhabitable. I saw America people partying just before the Holocaust, totally unaware of the incoming danger. I saw the smoke of her burning would be visible from Central America. Last dream I saw Putin speaking to his nuclear trucks, soldiers, before he commanded the codes to fire. It was before dawn, in the dark. Both dreams I had with Putin were in the dark, which shows the high secrecy of how war is being planned in the Bible. The great northern arch enemy, Russia, of Babylon, America, attacks her totally undetected. And he's correct there, okay? Now, I don't know if this is a true prophecy or not, but I want you to be able to see it in the context of these other prophecies. Let's move forward to number 6. So number 6 is David Wilkerson. Now, we had a 1973 prophecy that was very, very important, but then he also had a 1985 prophecy. So the 73 one was the vision. America is going to be destroyed by fire. Sudden destruction is coming, and few will escape. Unexpectedly, in 1 hour, and that is hora in the Greek, and it's in the Bible repeatedly, a hydrogen holocaust will engulf America, and this nation will be no more. It is because America has sinned against the greatest light. Other nations are just as sinful, but none are as flooded with the gospel light as ours. So we have not only the gospel light, because right now we have that wonderful charismatic meeting, we'll call it, revival at not Red Rock Camp, that's what I'm from Asbury Theological down in Kentucky. But we also have the greatest porn in America. We are the greatest purveyor of porn. Other nations are just as sinful, yep, but God is going to judge America for its violence, its crimes, its backsliding, its murdering of millions of babies, its flaunting of you-know-what, and sadomasochism, its corruption, its drunkenness, its drug abuse, its form of godliness without power, its lukewarmness towards the Messiah, its rampant divorce and adultery, its lewd pornography, its child molestations, its cheating, its robbing, its dirty movies, its occult practices, pharmakia. An attack from Russia. The great Holocaust follows, an economic collapse of America. Okay, number 7, Henry Groover. I met him down in Iowa in 2017. Henry Groover had a vision in 1986 of the invasion of America and its total destruction by the hands of the Russians and the Chinese. He saw Russia moving by sea and air from the north to destroy America by nerve gas and nuclear weapons. The Russians will steal materials and will spoil the United States after the destruction. The death toll of Americans will reach 120 million, or 60% of the population. Yeah, that's an interesting number, 60%. Well, okay, so basically, he lived 77 years too. Just note that. Okay, number 8, Dmitry Duduman. Now, I know his grandson, Michael Boldea. Love his grandson. Great, great man. I read him every morning. He has an interesting blog on Facebook every morning. So first, I'll read from Hal Turner. Point of no return, the Kremlin, Russia, and the West have reached their confrontation stage. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Ryabkov just said in moments that the U.S. hostile actions and arrogant disregard for Russia's legitimate demands for security guarantees and inclusion, non-deployment of strike weapons near the Russian border, non-expansion of NATO, return of its military potential to the 1997 level, have brought relations between the USA and Russia to a point of no return. So Dmitry Duduman heard this. In a vision, we'll call it, 1997. Russian president says to Chinese president, I will give you the land with all its people, but you must free Taiwan of the Americans. Do not fear, we will attack from behind, a voice says. Watch where the Russians penetrate America. Then I saw the words Alaska, Minnesota, that's where I am. That's why I put blue by it. And Florida. Then the voice spoke again. When America goes to war with China, the Russians will strike without warning. The man said, I am the protector of America. America's sin has reached God, and he can no longer stand such wickedness. God, however, still has a people who worship him, and with a clean heart as they do his work. He has prepared a heavenly army to save these people. Number 9, Michael Yaden. Michael Yaden is a doctor. He's a brilliant doctor. This is not supposed to be prophecy, but it's punditry, and it's very intelligent. Now, the media failed us not only by also in Ukraine, but whether you agree with the details or not, these are the basic facts. The war has started in 2014, not 2022. The civil war following NATO-backed paramilitary coup executed by neo-Nazi snipers who shot at both police and protesters during Euromaidan. One side of the civil war is backed by NATO, the other backed by Russia. Shortly afterward, the republics of Donetsk and Luhansk declared independence via popular referendums. Russia did not invade Ukraine, but came to the military aid of their two independent and autonomous republics who were under attack for 8 years. Merkel admitted that the Minsk peace treaties were theater to allow Ukraine to rearm. The obvious aim of this was to reconquer the republics militarily. This they initiated via increased shelling very shortly before Russia recognizing them. Not only is Russia's intervention provoked, but is no different than what the West is doing to Kiev, which is providing military aid in a war between what were already two distinct states with different parliaments, different currencies, different borders, and different armies. I'm sorry, but this is a lie to say Russia invaded the Ukraine. Russia intervened in a war between two different republics, much in the same way the West is doing. The republics were not Ukraine since 2014, whether people like it or not. That is the reality on the ground. This is so important because it shows how deep the lies on this war go. Michael Yaden. Brilliant, brilliant man. He's a medical doctor, guys, okay? Brilliant man. Love him dearly. Okay, number 10. So this is going to be from Steve Quayle. He just published it in February of 2023. First, I'm going to read on the right hand or the left hand side. Can't we finally strike at London, rather. Putin's top TV propagandist calls for a missile attack, a nuke, against London. Yeah. So keep in mind, they don't really want to nuke Ukraine because then everything blows into Russia. If they nuke London, that'll stop everything right then and there. Okay, so once again, this is a report from February 10th of 2023 from Steve Quayle. Russia has responded. As a matter of fact, Prime Minister, basically, they said on the TV announcer said, we're changing our nuclear weapons use protocols so that we will be able to legally use first strike nuclear weapons before war has been officially declared. They are claiming that because of Nord Stream, they have every right to attack because Nord Stream was an attack on Russian property. They're Nord Stream. So they expect the legal changes to be finished before the troops arrive. Targets have already been chosen and set. The Russians are already have told their own people what is happening. So that's prophecy number 10. Now we'll just come back and show you some signs that the war is growing. So the German foreign minister said the quiet part out loud on Ukraine. She basically said that they've already declared war on Russia. And this is German, the German foreign minister. So, and Elena Baerbock, so she basically just spouted it off. And they're quite proud of themselves, which is idiotic. Just stupid. Our leaders are stupid. Other than God. God makes sense. So, sending tanks to Ukraine makes one thing clear. This is now a Western war against Russia. That's Martin Kettle from The Guardian. So Germany technically declared war on Russia. Just another Wednesday, I guess. That's War Monitor. And then Alex Djurek kick. More tanks and more support to Ukraine. 3 additional B-52 bombers flying to unknown locations. Russian warstreams with hypersonic missiles in the Atlantic. No attempts at negotiating peace. If you don't recognize the end game last February, do you understand now? Pray for humanity. Alex is right. Continuing on, the NATO troops would like to introduce nuclear-tipped weapons that will pierce the armor of Russian tanks. Well, once you introduce the nukes in, then the Russians have the legal right to reintroduce their types of nukes, and that would be hypersonic missiles. So this would be a nuclear-tipped weapon that would, expose nuclear energy to the inside of the tank. And so this is from the Daily Mail. It's fairly recent. I think it's 25th of January, 2023. So yeah, this is stupid. And Russia's angry because they will be introducing nukes to the theater. So basically, we know that the Leopard Tank 2 tank, as well as Bradley and other, are armed with uranium core armor-piercing projectiles. That's the next level, guys. Okay, top Putin ally claims Joe Biden has progressive dementia and could start World War III due to distraction in the latest online rant. Yeah, sounds like it. Russia demands those responsible for the Nord Stream blast must be named and punished after investigative reporter claims Joe Biden ordered the U.S. Navy to destroy the gas pipeline. Both of these are from the Daily Mail. They seem accurate. This is from the New York Post. Russia amassing 500,000 soldiers, 1.8 thousand tanks in order to launch the offensive in 10 days. So that'd be about the 24th. Okay, so on the 1-year anniversary, 1,800 tanks, 3,950 armored vehicles, 2,700 artillery systems, 810 Soviet-era multiple rocket launch systems, 400 fighter jets, and 300 helicopters. They want to win the war quickly. They normally fight slowly on the rail lines, but now they want to go faster. This is from the Unheard, John Mearsheimer, brilliant man. According to him, great powers are like billiard balls that vary only in size. States economically strangling Japan during World War II and was threatening to knock Japan out of the ranks of the great powers. And Japan said, fine, we'll be a billiard ball and we'll fight back. So basically, you can't knock us out of the billiard game. The powers are desperate. They are willing to extreme measures. The reason they attacked is that they were desperate. Mearsheimer is correct. That's what's happening. They're forcing Putin to attack. The dollar is another way of attacking. It can be militarily, but there are economic wars going on right now. And what happens if the dollars return very quickly? Right now, the dollars are returning because the BRICS nations are setting up their own currency system. But that would cause an economic war. And they have consequences. So according to this article, oh goodness, I'm not sure where it's from. But anyway, why is the dollar system collapse inevitable amid creation of the BRICS currency? And so Lavrov is talking about crushing the dollar system. It's inevitable because the BRICS nations will be more powerful over time. They want to reduce their exposure to the US dollar. They want to internationalize their currencies. BRICS is basically going to be gold-backed. China, Russia, South Africa, India, and it looks like Saudi Arabia is coming in too. They want the alternative to the fiat system. Then you can't be sanctioned and coerced. And right now they're claiming the United States is enriching itself at their expense. I'm sorry that I don't have the article where it's from. I'll have to look that up. Sorry. Okay, and here's from Strategic Culture. Russia's already had 300 billion confiscated by the United States, and that's an act of war. It really is, and it will only get worse. This is from China saying that they're in a semiconductor war. Peter Zeihan cites the same thing. I've cited him before in his prophetic comment. So China is weak on producing new things, but they're strong on the low-end chips. And so they want a war because they want to be able to access the better chips. And so the United States is 10 times better than China at this, but China wants, they want a war in chips so that they can continue to manufacture and use other people's chips. And the United States wants to cut them off from that. So first tanks, then nukes launched from Russia. So once again, we talked about all the weaponry that's going to happen. Trump warns Biden on Ukraine. then come the nukes. And that seems to be the case. So we're getting closer to World War III. The tanks will increase it, but the other weaponry will too. Medvedev has been just talking hate lately, and he's really probably going to take over as Putin weakens. Putin is 70. And the veiled threat to Israel, Russian warns. So keep in mind that Israel is involved in this. And so Israel has been attacking Iran. Well, Iran builds drones for Russia for the war. So that's going to cause a problem. So just keep it in mind. Medvedev doesn't like that. And so this is from Zero Hedge and from Summit News, which is Paul Joseph Watson. We will see endless wars until Messiah arrives. So basically, there's a war with China due only 2 years away, and this is a U.S. general that's saying it, Air Force general. So it looks like 2025, war with China. Great. Okay, so USA Today, little by little, Russia is winning the key ground war. French historian, the World War III has already begun. Yes. So thank you, Paul Joseph Watson, for publishing both of those. Basically, he's saying this war is over. Russia has won, but it's going to cause World War III because it's over. BRICS nations again, Medvedev again. And so once again, I'm citing that the war was started in 2014. The main goal was to use the ceasefire to buy time and create a powerful armed force. And that's what's happening. So it's going to be the BRICS against NATO. Warmongering. A couple more slides. This is from the Eurasian Times and then Hal Turner. Low yield blast over Germany. U.S. is increasing the possibility of nuclear retaliation by Russia. So basically, they'll introduce more weaponry, and Russia will be using low-yield blasts. And then this Polish general is saying Ukraine is near complete defeat. And I can't say his name, Waldemar Shishkak, whatever. Okay, by introducing the tanks, it will cause Russia to introduce more weaponry, and so Ukraine will lose. They can't launch an offensive anymore. They're just defensive, and it's just a matter of time. And I'm blaming it all on Obama. Obama's plan is to destabilize the world, and really, when you look at Biden, you really have to see what Obama is doing behind him. And so it means all these European businesses are relocating to China and the United States because they've destabilized Europe. Putin invasion of Ukraine like fighting Nazi Germany. That's Worthy News citing that. Very interesting. So basically, the invasion is, he's calling it a Nazi invasion. I think he's right. Where are we in the birth pangs? We seem to be in seal number 4, heading from seal 3 as food prices go bonkers. We're not in the Great Tribulation. We're not even in the Tribulation. But we are getting closer to World War III, and there might be skirmishes before that. Rumors of wars, things like that. So we're just bouncing through the birth pangs in the seals. I argue that I'm beginning to sense the 4th seal is open. I can't prove it, but you've got the death counts that come from 4 different directions. Say the jibby jabs, the variants, the infertility, the suicide, the cancers, the war, the mayhem are amassing. It's going to be a bad year for us. I'm seeing that the new moon should be March 22nd, so Passover should be after that. And so where's Passover? Let's see here. Should be in April, probably 5th and 6th. Okay, but we'll see. I'm seeing that the 4 horsemen seem to be riding in this year, and my reckoning on this is that the Ramphea of Revelation 6:8 is really mass migrations. The Limo is going to be crop failures. It's no fertilizer, it's famine. Thanatos is death. It could be war. Makes sense now. And then animal pandemics, well, it's going to be little tiny animals, biological warfare. So expect all 4 of those. That's what the 4th horseman brings. So what do you need to work on? Clean garments. Basically, it's going to be at some point in time in your future here, you'll have a meeting with Yeshua, and he's going to ask you, what are you wearing? And you need to be covered by his blood and have clean garments. It's a wedding, folks. Be blessed. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you again next week.